And happy new year for 2024, all you happy sellers. I've been spending my day getting ready for a working week and kind of come to the end of my day. So I thought, rather than putting on a story, just put out an Instagram live. And the idea is I will take this content at some point and repurpose it. And I've done one of these before. So I'm going to set myself a timer of 15, 20 minutes, depending if people join in. And also, if you're joining in, please make sure that you say hello, leave a comment below, and give this a share if you think somebody could find this really interesting. But we're in 2024 now. Jeez! Last year was a blur, and it went flying. But before jumping into 2024 and kind of what I'm up to, 2023 ended on a really positive high in terms of works, goals, life, and everything. And, Happy Selling itself and podcasts and whatnot really did well. Last few weeks of December, I was able to switch off, put my out of offices on. And the funny thing was, just before Christmas, I got really ill. I mean, badly ill, to the point where I actually missed Christmas Eve, Christmas, Boxing Day. And I spent the majority of my time stuck on my sofa with a really bad cold and some back aching. I just couldn't get up. So I spent my time with copious amounts of Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, Spider-Man, eating a lot of crap. And it was a sign to my body that whatever 2023 did to you, dude, you kind of caught up. But I'm gonna have to say, last week or so was really good. Spent some time with my boy. We went out and did a shit ton of activities. We went out to a trampoline park. We went to the cinema. We caught up with friends and family. And we even went to a rave. So like a UK club dance type event for parents and kids. And for your boy being a club MC, it was a dream come true to stand with my boy, raving to UK garage, drum and bass, and a whole bunch of songs, along with my friends and their kids. And he ended it. And I dropped him back home yesterday. And I was like, I am tired, but I'm smiling. And we saw in the new year together, which was freaking awesome. But what I also say to myself, okay, it's the first week of January, and I'm very mindful not to go in gung-ho blazing, because that's just not the way I work, right? The first week that I see with January into a new year, I'm kind of at 50% capacity. So I've kind of tasked myself today of what I needed to get done. And hello, mate. And basically went gym this morning, first time in 3 or 4 weeks. And that felt good, but it hurt as well. And then I had to do some catch up, some admin for my boy. So in a year's time, he's going to be going into high school. And that's a scary thought. So I had to start contacting all these schools and figuring out, what the parents do when they go view a high school for their kid. But got all that done, and then I set the rest of the half the day to do happy selling admin. So today was literally coming online, checking my inboxes, which were rammed. And a lot of people were prospecting to the early hours of 2023, which is either or, mate, I don't know. Hello, Christian. Happy New Year, dude. And basically, just going through my inboxes, checking all these emails, and I've got invites for stuff and checking up all in. Another one was, so to let you a little bit know what's going on. Hello, Sushi. Lovely to see ya. So 2024, one of my plans is to launch a happy selling AI platform. So imagine you can get all of Neil's content. I'm speaking in the third person. Getting all of my content that I've ever done, last podcast, videos, LinkedIn, every piece of content you could think, getting it all and then dropping it into an AI bot where it can index it, sort it all out. So imagine if you couldn't get me face to face, or you couldn't get me on a Zoom or a coaching call, you could subscribe to a platform, and from there, you could basically ask Neil ChatGPT any question around sales or sales development, and it would find through hundreds of pieces of content all the answers, information that and then also serve up videos, content, clips, and all of that stuff. So signed an agreement with a company called Condoleezza Desir. No, this isn't pre-recorded. This is live. And hello and welcome. I'll put a wave in to prove that I'm really here. So yeah, with the Quench AI, which is going to be HappySelling.ai. Signed the agreement, paid the invoice this morning for the pilot, and I'm catching up with the Quench team this Friday to discuss how we start going about, building it out and when we're going to go for launch. So I'm still in the dark as to when it's going to go live and stuff, but that's one of my big goals for this year. So I've done all my HappySelling admin and whatnot and all the meetings I have to do. Then I jumped back into my sales coach inbox. So I'm running separate inboxes, and that can be a madness in itself. Hello, Joe Vaughan. Hello, welcome to the live. So just to let everybody know, I'm just putting on a live rather than doing an Instagram story. And with this Instagram live, I'm just talking about me and what I've been catching up to today. And I'll be taking this content later and repurposing it. So if you're joining, feel free to give a wave. If you want to ask any questions, so crack on and waffle on. So with my sales coach, we've got some big plans for this year. So luckily closed in a few referrals. So people that wanted to get coaching from myself are able to do through their subscription now. So I've got about 5 or 6 new coachees added to my calendar for January already. I've also got people already booking in time as of tomorrow. So that's when I'm officially back online and back into work. And I've got how many? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coaching sessions already booked in for tomorrow, and then a couple for later this week. And also what we found is we've got a new customer after catching up in Slack and the amount of DMs and that, geez. Hello, Matt, and hello, Chris. Welcome to the Instagram Live. So with my sales coach, they've got a new customer where it's one of those situations, and again, I can't go into too much detail because there is an element of client privacy, but it's a client where they're a tech company. They don't actually have an SDR leader in place right now, and they're looking to hire one, but they already have SDRs, which is pretty cool, and they've got a head of sales as well. So I'm actually going up to Newcastle next week. To go meet this team where we're going to be coaching them up until the point where they get that new manager and support them when they come on board as well. So I'm going to be working with another sales coach who's part of my sales coach, one of my favorite guys, Nigel. And we're going to be going up to Newcastle next week to meet that company, but also to meet the My Sales Coach team, give them a Happy New Year hug. And I love traveling up to Newcastle to see them all. Just giving some waves. Hello, DJ Chris. Hello, Chris. And Matt, my old Raven crew. Hello. So from that, we're just getting all hotels and travel and everything booked. What else is going on with my sales coach? I've also got some podcast interviews. Some people have seen what I've been doing with my sales coach. So I've got an actual podcast interview this Thursday, which is super cool. And I'm looking to do more podcast engagement by going on to other people's shows. So if you think in any shape or form, if I can add any sort of value to a sales podcast, or actually, do you know what? It doesn't actually have to be a sales podcast per se. It's just a podcast in general. But if you think any of my qualities or my story or my history or anything could add any value to any of your audiences, DM me, let me know. I'm up for it. And equally, about my show, if you work in tech sales and you're an SDR, 2 years max experience and you're working for a tech company and you've got an inspiring SDR story to share, please let me know and I'd love to have you on board. But I'm going to park podcast for a minute because I'm going to go into that in a little bit later on in this as well. So also had to jump into LinkedIn and DMs. Jeez, there was a lot of posts and stuff, people commenting me. And I took a mindful thing of when I closed the doors for business in 2023 and when I'm not out of office, I logged out of LinkedIn. I logged out of it on my phone, did not go onto it on my desktop. Logged in once to post a video about me and my boys celebrating New Year's Eve and just wishing everybody, Happy New Year. But there was a lot of posts, so I can see some people coming in with aspirations for 2024. So one guy that I really like working with, Andy Laws, who was on our podcast, he said he's got some goals for 2024. He wants 2.5 million annual impressions, 20,000 community members, and he wants to be a top sales voice recognition. So that's on LinkedIn. If you comment on a lot of articles, you can get the top voice badge, and that's something I'm proactively doing as well. So on LinkedIn, I always get a notification that says, here's an article where we'd love for you to contribute. And I'm trying to do at least 2 or 3 of these a week if I have the free time. But he's also got some podcast goals. He wants to feature on the SDR game with El Reek. He wants to go into 30 Minutes Presence Club. He wants to go on Trent Dressel's podcast, JC Potter's new podcast, feature on Surf and Sales podcast with Scott Lees. And he wants to feature on round 2 on Neil Booyan's podcast. Doors open, bro. You're more than welcome to come on board, and I'd love to have that. And he's also going to be starting his own podcast with his own company called Rev Rocket. So Andy is a really cool guy. So he's a BDR manager at a company called Braze, but the dude is just an SDR content machine. Congolese, lovely to see you. Thank you for joining on, and hello to everybody in Nigeria. That's cool knowing that we're reaching people out in Nigeria. Cool. Happy New Year. So coming back to Andy, the dude is just an SDR content machine. Like, he's got a job board, he's got a newsletter, he's forever putting out clips and great posts. So highly recommending following Andy Laws. That's Laws on LinkedIn. And when we spoke, I think, was it this time last year, perhaps? Or mid-year, at some point. He was kind of saying to me, like, he wants to do what I do, in the sense of, I'm on LinkedIn, maybe seen as an influencer. I don't like to take that title. I'm just a dude on LinkedIn. But he was asking my advice of, how do you launch your own brand? How do you build your content and all of this? And I gave him as much advice as I could. And obviously he's speaking to a lot of other people. But since that discussion, he's just synonymous all over my LinkedIn. So again, highly recommend checking him on. And I'm definitely going to be having him back onto the podcast as well. Another post that I saw today that I was tagged in is with the lovely SDR leader from my sales coach, Nia Woodhouse. So Nia was somebody I had on my podcast years ago when she worked for a company, Refract. When I joined my sales coach, a couple of months later, she then joined as an SDR, and I was her sales coach. And then after that, she got promoted to senior SDR. But the point that I'm trying to get to, when we were having our first coaching session, we were talking about setting goals for 2023, right? So this was December 2022, and we're talking about 2023. And historically, I'm not a guy that's a fan of New Year's resolutions. And the reason for that is we set resolutions to either quit stuff, go to the gym, get fit, and do X, Y, and Z. And realistically, you probably get 2-3 weeks into January and you forget about them because life then gets in the way. I then used to have something called SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, attainable, results, and time-based SMART goals. And that's how I used to kind of plan what I wanted to do for 2024. But when I was talking to Nia back then, and I was going through a really rough patch myself because I was kind of out of work as well, and a lot of other horrible things were happening to me at that point in my life. But I came across a really cool 2023 goal setting framework from one of the CEOs from a company called AppSumo. And quick shout out to AppSumo. It's basically a software marketplace where you can get discounted versions of the leading brands and softwares that you want. And it's really great for small business owners because it helped me with calendars, recording content, Dropbox, all of that sort of stuff. You can buy on it. But anyway, I digress. Coming back to it, he kind of said, and I've got the template here. He said, after lots of trial and error, I've made a simple goal system setting that works. And this is what I used with Nia. So number 1 is pick a word for the year, right? My word back then was rebuild, because I'd lost a lot and I wanted to rebuild parts of my life, business, etc. And then he says, separate your goals into 5 categories. And step 3 is to get an accountability buddy. So this is someone that makes sure that you do what you say you're going to do, which kind of, helps with the lack of those resolutions and SMART goals, because there's nobody accountable other than yourself, right? So the word that I was focusing on for that year was grounded. And my goals in terms of work was, I was in a lot of debt business wise, and I wanted to make, 6 figures for HappySelling. And I did that. I wanted to hit 150 YouTube subscribers because I am working on a monetization strategy in the long run. I'm not looking for it now. but I wanted to get to 150 YouTube subscribers, and I got to 105. So I was happy with that. And I also wanted to launch Quench with the HappySelling content, which was on-demand learning. But, a bit of transparency, that shit didn't really work. We launched, nobody subscribed. But then Quench approached me and said, dude, this ain't working, but what we're looking to do is take all the content creators' content, put it into like a bundle that people can buy bits of your content. And I said, yeah, do you know what? If the other content is just sitting there, might as well do something with it. And subsequently, I made about £900 in referral. So every time somebody bought content from them, I got a nice revenue split on that. So that was work. The other point was working out. So like health. So I wanted to go gym 4 days a week in the morning. I wanted to attend my fitness classes. And I wanted to get to about 21% body fat. But the reality was, I did do 4 gym sessions. I did go to my HIIT classes. I was probably about 28% body fat. And the reasons for that was there are moments throughout the year where I wasn't on point. This wasn't on point. So I just didn't go. But I'm happy with what I am happy with is how I feel and look in my body rather than trying to measure BMI and all of that sort of jazz. From a personal point, I wanted to have more contact time with my son. I wanted to make sure that I saw my family and friends at least once a week. And I wanted to spend some time learning a new skill. So I did have more time with my son. We had a half term in May. We had 2 weeks in the summer holidays in the UK. And we went on countless theatre trips because that's what he loves. I got to see him perform at his stagecoach school and do a solo performance of singing in front of all of his peers, which really did warm up my heart. What else did I do? So we did that with everything with Blake. Okay, my mind's gone a bit blank then. But I did the other stuff. Let's just put it that way, right? In terms of... one of the other things I wanted to do was become an angel investor. And I've always wanted to invest into commercial property. And what I'm really happy to say is that came about through the co-working space I work called Oru, where at back end of last year, they were offering shares through Seeders to become an investor in their commercial property, which is a startup. And your boy became an investor and finally hit my goal. In terms of travel, I had a lot of plans to travel internationally with my boy. That didn't happen just with schools and holidays and stuff like that. But we did go on a trip to Chessington and stayed World of Adventures and stayed on a hotel for him there. And we went on loads of other different places. But I also went to Amsterdam, Newcastle, Dublin, Belfast, and did all of that. Coming back to the personal thing, spending time with family and friends. In my diary, every Wednesday evening, I've got a long block which says family or friends catch up. So I'll either go see my parents or I'll go see one of my people and just go spend time with them. Because I was one of those guys where everyone said, no, you're always busy. I'm not busy. I just do the things I like doing. But I need to make time for my friends in order to, foster those relationships. So that happened. And I actually got to catch up with my best boy from sales, a guy called Max Amies, who now lives in Singapore. But he came to the UK with his new girlfriend, got to meet her and have a lunch, and that was freaking awesome to see him again. So anyway, with this plan, the key word is plan. And what you actually have to do is place calendar invites in your own calendar to make sure that happens, and don't leave it up to chance because no one else is going to make them happen other than you. So it's constant reminders. Every time I wanted to reach those goals, I was working towards it and I gave myself a reminder. And then it says there are 3 tips for making your goals even more reachable. And this one, it's not really me, but weekly accountability. They said email 2 of your friends every single week to keep them in check. And truth be told, I ain't got time for that. So it was once a month, and I had a really cool guy called Aaron Davies, who's a founder of Juniper, a recruitment agency, who was kind of my recession buddy this time last year. And we'd ping each other on LinkedIn every now and then to say we've hit this goal, I've done that goal. And when he actually sent me his last week, bro, he flew up. And he was in a similar spot where his business was potentially being dwindled and winding down. And my bro is just grown. And, shout out to Aaron. I'm actually meeting up with him next week to talk about our 2024 goal plan. Make monthly reports every month. Write a report of what happened that month, which goals were met, planned, and not met. So I do daily journaling, And here was my point to remind myself at the end of each month, what did I achieve and what was I still needing to do? And the other bit was write out your fantasy story in a story format. So write out what you want the end of the year to look like. Get creative, have fun with it. And you can do this to help you figure out what are the type of goals. Now, the reality is I actually have the story of what I said I was going to do. So for context, if we imagine we're in December 2022, life was a bit shit. So I wanted to, have the story of how it was going to end. And I'm not going to read it verbatim every bit, but I'll give you the skim headlines and then I'll actually tell you what actually happened. So it was 2023. Everything seemed to be falling pace. Again, this is the fantasy story. This isn't reality, but this is what I wanted the year to end at December 2023. Built my business, HappySelling, beyond my wildest dreams. I got a first sales training partner and 3 high-ticket customers. I became an angel investor. I sold my content through Quench. My podcast was also growing large and getting a good following. I made significant improvements in my health, gave up bad habits, replaced them, and I was in the best physique than I was at 20 years old. And for context, I'm now 40 this year. I was able to switch off from work time and enjoy personal life with family and friends and create memories that would last a lifetime. I'd also meet a wonderful partner who made me feel loved and understood, and we had many magical moments together. Again, this is all fantasy. But my year of success wasn't limited to my career. I also managed to clear 50% of my debts, had more financial freedom. I also worked better as being a co-parent. I was able to see my son and let him see more of my life. And if this wasn't enough, I was able to experience some incredible travel adventures, took my son on holiday with my niece and my sister. I went on a cruise and was able to visit parts of the world that I hadn't seen. And for Christmas, me and my boy would book a trip to Euro Disney. And looking back, 2023 was an amazing year. And truth be told, writing that out did give me a sense of excitement. And back then, I was going through a tough time. So it was something to inspire, motivate, and get me hyped up for 2023, right? Now, this is the actual story of what happened. Where is that? So, it was the year 2023 and everything appeared to be falling into place even better than I had envisioned. I successfully developed my business, raised my prices, exceeded my wildest dreams, and now could proudly identify myself as a business owner. Joining my sales coach, my calendar was filled every day with bookings, meaning I didn't actually have to go hunt leads, but I could do what I wanted to. And I also secured a company called the PSSG and their SDR team as a training client. I became a seed investor with Oru co-working spaces, fulfilling my dream of being a property investor. I got referral commissions from Quench and my sales content. My podcast reached 90,000 downloads across 68 countries. And I also secured a speaking spot in Berlin, April 2024. Health-wise, I did give up a lot of bad habits, undergoing numerous therapy sessions to attain peace and understanding, and I gained more energy and a newfound love of life. Losing 7 friends to death last year really screwed your boy's head up. And I advocate for therapy every day, all day long. It's one of the best things in your life that you're ever going to do. And it's not just for people that have a messed up life. Successful entrepreneurial people, or people in general that are in a good space, still take therapy. So I advocate for it. So I constantly found myself in a better mindset, possessing a happy body and soul. I managed to switch off from work, met with friends like Max and his missus, went to Dublin to do some coaching, connected with new people at Oru. And this is a thing that I've missed, not working in a company when you own your own business, being in an office with a team and going out for stuff. But going to my new co-working space in Sutton, it's full of business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, or people that have kicked off their own business in my local town. And I get to catch up with them every day and talk about how they're launching a business, or, here's a new service they're thinking of, or they're launching a website. That's the shit that makes me go, wow, God. So I've made a lot of new cool friends from that point, and I actually feel like I belong somewhere. So I'm really happy with that. I did clear 50% of my debts. I had more financial freedom. I actually did have my first healthy romantic relationship with a lovely lady, and it lasted for a little bit, but again, for transparency, the reason why it didn't continue was that person wanted kids. I've already got a kid and I'm not looking to have kids anymore. So we ended things amicably, but it gave me a taste of what does a healthy relationship look like. And when you're the type of dude like me, which is really shit at dating and understanding signals and all of that sort of stuff, that was a rarity for me, and I was very happy. With my son, we had extra days, half-term break, 2 weeks in the summer holidays. We went to Chessington. We stayed in a hotel. I saw him sing at his first Stagecoach performance, and we went to a lot of West End theatres. As if that wasn't enough, I embarked on travel adventures exploring Amsterdam, Dublin, Belfast, Newcastle. And for Christmas, I was invited as a guest speaker with one of the MSC clients, and I did my first face-to-face session with them, making new friends. So if you are feeling inspired or thinking, hey, I want to try out this format for setting yearly goals. And this is something that I've done with coaching clients that I was working with in December. And Nia made a LinkedIn post about it today. And she said, where is it? Here's the social proof. I used to be so guilty of setting goals in January and not looking at my list until November. It was quite demotivating when I'd forgotten half the things on that list. It also showed that the goals that I set were either unrealistic or pretty irrelevant. I switched up things last year with the help of Neil Puyan. The key difference were that my goals were split into subsections of personal, professional, health and travel goals. They were all super well thought out, relevant and most importantly measurable. This meant I had timelines for progress and I could keep myself accountable for each goal I set. It was super gratifying to tick off each one throughout the year. I can co-sign that. And excited to do the same this year. So if you want this template, it's free. Just DM me. I'll send you the link. And when you get the link, it's a Google Doc. All you need to do is file, make a copy, create your own because you can't edit the original, and then set up your goals. And then equally, if you want somebody to keep you accountable and you want a sales coach, maybe a life coach, I'm not really one of them, but I help people with their lives, then let me know. And this is something we could do through my sales coach as well. So if you want the free template and you want to check it out, DM me, let me know, or comment below, and I'll set it up for you. So that's goals all done. What else did I want to... Oh, well, I've actually set my goals for this year. So as I have you on the live, I'll tell you what am I aiming to do this year. And this is going to come out as a LinkedIn post, and I've scheduled them for later this week because nobody knows I'm online at the minute except all you lucky people. But my goals are in the 5 categories. So the word for the year for 2024 is consistency. My 5 goal or areas: work, I want to generate 250k net revenue for HappySelling. I want to have 250 YouTube subscribers. I want to confirm 50 subscribers for the new HappySelling.ai. Workout, I want to keep consistent on 4 gym morning sessions a week, but I want to get there for 6 a.m. I'm going to do one Tough Mudder event. And the other thing that I've realized, which is really important when it comes to health and fitness, is getting a sports massage. If you're going to pummel your body, you need to undo all of that stress. Otherwise, you'll just feel, yeah. On personal goals, increase contact with my boy. This year, I want to donate 2.5% of my yearly earnings, which in the world of Islam is called zakat, to one of my favorite charities called Dads Unlimited. For co-parents or single fathers, such as yourself, they have been the best charity and the best support line that I've ever had. So I'm going to donate 2.5% of whatever HappySelling earns to their charity. I also want to find a romantic life partner. Living, I want to invest in another commercial property co-working startup. So I'm going to be using Cedars to keep my eyes and peepers out for that. I want to find a bigger home with a garden and a driveway. When it comes to travel, visit Berlin in April, visit Texas in the US in May 2024. I'm going to take my son for our first UK Butlin summer holiday in August. And I want to, and I will, have my solo trip to the Mediterranean, because it's always been a dream and bucket list to do that. So those are my goals for this year. This is what I set up, and I'm going to be meeting my accountability buddy Aaron next Monday at 10 a.m. to show him mine, to hear his, and then we're going to keep each other accountable throughout the year. So that's all been and done, and that was one day, and I'm not even working yet, and I've got a lot of shit done. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this live. Thank you for joining. Hello, Natalie. Thank you for joining. I'll give you a wave to show this is real and not recorded. And also the other thing that I'm doing in terms, just before I come off, is I've got a lot of social media accounts and I split it into two worlds. So there's business, like this one, and then there's personal. I'm vlogged out of all of my personal accounts. So that's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And the reason that I want to get out of that is January, it's consistency and it's focus, and apps like those on a personal level are the biggest distractions.com. And there's a lot of BS that goes on at the beginning of January that I just can't be bothered to listen or read. So I've actually signed out of those accounts and I'm just purely focusing on business because, as you may have seen in a previous video on my live, your Q1 discussions are your Q4 closes. And everything you do at the beginning of this year is what sets you up for success and helps you towards the end of the year. And obviously there's no point of just trying to get from point A to point B. It's all the magical shit that happens in between that. That's the stuff you want to focus on and be present for. But social media is one of my vices, and you have to have vices in order to have virtues in life, right? But I know myself, and I know that I can doom scroll. I need to stop doing that shit. I do look at content to be inspired, to help me create content on platforms like this. But if people are talking about their local restaurant or how life is unfair and shit, I ain't got time for that. It's 2024, man. We're going to get this down. We're going to get this in. But again, thank you very much for joining me on this Instagram live. I'm going to be doing more of these as well. And I think I've gone over the time limit of what I said I was going to do. But hey ho, I'm going to take this content. I'm going to repurpose it at some point. And coming back to the podcast, the SDR Disco Call podcast will not be online for a couple of weeks. I've got a whole ton of season 10 content. But when I get back into being at 100% capacity next week, that's when I'm going to start planning of editing the episodes and then getting a live date on that point. So coming back to the original point of this video, as I said at the beginning, I never go into a working week 100%, especially coming off leave. I like to go in at 50% capacity. So for the next few days, I'll go 50, 60, 70. And then once I've rested from this weekend, from Monday, I'm going to go back in. But wishing you and all your loved ones a happy selling, happy new year for 2024. Please enjoy me on this journey. Comment, DM, let me know if there's anything you guys want help on. But have a great week and happy selling.